Jerry, it's Emma. I hate how I keep getting your answering machine. You must be on a big story for the paper. Or out on a mountain climb at Martin. Wasn't this the year that you both aimed to conquer Regent Peak? Anyway, I made it to Scotland, and something interesting happened to me when I got to the ruins of MacDuff Castle. The historian working on the site was absolutely delighted to see me, and got even more excited when he learned what I did. He says an old legend has resurfaced in Loch Blaine, the giant lake next to the castle. Something he called the Beast. I think I have a new case on my hands. Call me when you get the chance. We have a lot to catch up on. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Case number 111, The Monster Beneath. Preliminary case notes. I'm in the hamlet of Lochs at the northern edge of Loch Blaine in the Scottish Highlands to do research into the legends surrounding the ancient MacDuff Castle that overlooks the water. My focus was originally the 14th century spectre said to drift through the crumbling stone corridors. However, when I arrived at the ruins, a historian named Dr. Hamish Mackenzie came to meet me. He's been studying the ruins and the history of the area for years. He got very interested and excited about the work I was doing and told me that something called the Beast of Blaine is making a reappearance after 50 years of silence. The reports of locals and tourists who have spotted the beast have quadrupled in the past year. Dr. Mackenzie told me even he thought he saw the beast breach the waters of the loch. He's promised to tell me more about it later. It all sounds like another Nessie legend. But lake monsters aren't unique to Scotland, even though they lay claim to the famous Nessie and the less celebrated Morag. Even North America has our own lake monster, named Champ, who lives in Lake Champlain. One set of research states the legends began centuries ago as stories about kelpies, dangerous water demons looking more like horses, which would drown helpless victims. But as knowledge of science and the rise of paleontology took hold in later centuries, the monsters morphed into trapped plesiosaurs from the Jurassic Age. It's fascinating how legends can change based on growing knowledge. A monster looking as commonplace in medieval times as a horse can grow into something as strange and fantastic as a prehistoric sea creature by the industrialized 20th century. I don't have a lot of expertise in cryptozoology, but what interests me is how recent these new sightings are, and how many there seem to be. 15 in the last week alone. Authorities have dismissed them as hoaxes, not worth their effort. But something must be out there in the calm waters of the loch. Is it a monster? Interview with Dr. Hamish Mackenzie, expert on medieval Scottish history and a historian here at MacDuff Castle. So, what can you tell me about the Beast of Blaine, Dr. Mackenzie?
Call me Hamish, please, and I'll call you Emma. Only fair to be on a first-name basis if we're going to be talking legendary monsters in our loch.
Alright, Hamish. Now, down to brass tacks. Who or what is the Beast of Blaine?
Now who brings up a whole ream of conflicted and confused questions, but the what is simple. The beast is a lake monster. Did some research before we sat down today. Let's see. The first recorded report of the beast came from a hagiography of a 6th century saint who is said to banish a creature who had attacked fishermen who were out on the loch. Little description other than an all-consuming shadow swallowing the sunlight dappled on the water's surface. Though there is a certain enchantment in that description, don't you think?
It's certainly evocative. Were there further sightings?
On and off through the centuries. From the 8th to the 15th centuries, there were the odd reports of a huge animal with the head of a horse and the neck of a snake gliding through the waters of Loch Blaine. Even here at MacDuff Castle, there was a reference to a serpent as big as the nation being spotted by guards on a moonlit night. But I wouldn't call those reports reliable primary sources, more like hearsay, third or fourth hand information gleaned from legends and rumours. The story from MacDuff Castle reads more like the opening scene of Hamlet, in my opinion. Ancient castle, lonely guards, and something unearthly emerging from the mists.
But the sightings never went away.
Hole in one, Emma. The Beast of Blaine went quiet for 400 years until the late 1800s, when sightings returned. this time bolstered by evidence provided by the growing technology of the time, namely photography. But the evidence was routinely dismissed as hoaxes for numerous motives, everything from personal glory to trying to establish a tourist attraction in the loch. Can you imagine that?
Oh, I can. Believe me.
The last reported sighting was in 1947 with the MacDougall photograph. A birdwatcher was said to capture the beast breaching in the waters. It was the picture that solidified the current popular mythos that the beast is some kind of ensnared Jurassic sea monster, like something out of that Jurassic Park film. To me, though, the picture always looked like the photographer had his finger in front of the lens. No definitive proof, you see, just legends and rumours and hearsay. The beast stayed quiet for the past 50 years. Nary a peep out of him.
But then he returns. That's what interests me. A half-century of silence before re-emerging so spectacularly, and so frequently too. Rather odd behavior for a reclusive lake monster.
You've thought of something?
Not yet. I need more evidence first. You mentioned you might have seen the beast for yourself. What happened then? What did he look like?
It's hard for me to say. I'm not entirely sure what I saw. I'm reluctant to admit if it was the Beast of Blaine. Follow me. It might make more sense if I show you. I was in the West Tower, looking through some historic architectural surveys of the castle. The West Tower is the one closest to the loch, as it seems to jut out over the water, with a spectacular view out the old windows. It was sunset that day, and the light just streams into the tower at that golden hour. Take a look at that view, Emma.
Wow. That's just... wow.
Breathtaking, gorgeous,
Uh-huh.
unparalleled by any modern standards. I will take all the above if that suits your fancy. The views here are part of the reason why I love working at MacDuff Castle. It's just an absolutely beautiful piece of Scotland. I was sitting here at this desk. I was looking up from the plants to stretch my neck and shoulders when I saw something black dart outside the window. I squinted to try and see better. The sunlight was reflected off the loch, a big shimmering field of gold. It dazzled my eyes, but then I saw this black shape poke through the water. It was... How on earth can I describe it?
Well, try your best. It doesn't have to be romantic or even make sense. Just as accurate as it can be.
It looked like the head of a serpent. It had a long neck, I guess you'd call it, that curled into a flattened head with large ear flaps along each side. Ear flaps doesn't do it justice. They were like frilled thumb lizards fanning out in the wind. The head was black and shiny and white, like dolphin skin. It slipped under the water. I think I saw its back curl up out of the water for a moment before vanishing. By then, the light was hurting my eyes, so I couldn't look any longer. I haven't seen it since.
Could you estimate how big it was?
Not with any accuracy. It was too far away, a mere glimpse. But the head was rather small compared to the length of the neck, and I only saw the tiniest peep of its back. If I had to guess, whatever it was might be 40 to 50 metres long. But that's a guess, mind you.
It's not a whole lot to work with. Whereabouts in the lake did you see this creature? It's a huge patch of real estate, so searching it would be impossible by myself.
Look toward the centre of the loch. Do you see that patch of trees that seems to spring out of the water? That's a crannock, a man-made island dating to the Iron Age. There used to be dwellings built on the water itself, but time and rising water levels rotted and submerged most of the crannock, leaving nothing but those tall alder trees and a scrap of peat-rich land behind. And that's why we call it Alder Island. About 5 or so metres below the island is the general place where I saw whatever it was.
Such a remote spot. Out of the way, hard to access. When did the first modern sighting occur?
2 months ago, a Loch-in local named Janis Ross claimed she saw the beast out of her cottage window. Janis is the resident expert on the beast and the president of SOBS.
SOBS?
Local joke. It stands for Save Our Beast Society. Janis has been vehement about protecting the loch and establishing a sanctuary on Alder Island for the beast. Some of the locals thought she was a nut at first, but the sightings have increased and more tourists flock to her loch. She's been doing a lot of good in the area, organising cleanup efforts for the lake habitats, establishing environmental societies to preserve the local ecosystems. As the sightings increase, so does the membership of SOBS. It's a refreshing change to see people working for preservation rather than exploitation.
Interesting. I think I'd like to have a word with Miss Ross. Care to accompany me? You know the lay of the land better than I do.
I wish I could, but I have to supervise a tour of the castle in an hour's time. If you don't watch these visitors, they'll pluck anything that isn't nailed down. Then I'll have to coordinate with archaeologists looking to excavate on site. We're trying to gain access to some underground catacombs, sealed up for centuries. But please, do come back and let me know how it goes. I'd love to know what you found out.
Throw in a guided tour of the castle, and you've got yourself a deal, Hamish. Interview with Janis Ross, president of the Save Our Beast Society. Thank you for agreeing to speak with me, Miss Ross. I know your schedule is jam-packed with planning for the fundraiser you're spearheading for the Alder Island Sanctuary. Thank you for making time for me.
No problem at all, Miss Emerson. Talking with an investigator of your stature might help the society to get the publicity we need. And I always make time to talk about our Anguilla Highlandica.
The what?
The Beast of Blaine. I gave it a scientific name to help give it some legitimacy in our community, to reduce it from a monster of yore into a new species that requires careful study and committed protection. Working theories by some of the naturalists involved in the society state the beast could be a localized subspecies of European eel or type of water snake which has had optimal growing conditions and grown to substantial dimensions. Evolution works in wonderful ways, Miss Emerson. What the ancients termed a monster would simply be an animal we haven't fully understood yet. I want to keep what could be our colony of Anguilla Highlandica safe for future generations. Before we founded this society, the loch was painfully neglected. Tourists flocked to the castle, weathering it away like a stone in the surf, and dumped their litter all along the loch and poisoned the delicate ecosystem here. Trash and human filth clogged the shoreline. And to think, this beautiful lake is one of the deepest in the world. Once I saw the beast, I knew we had to work even harder to save our loch. The society in the hamlet of Loch End has held multiple cleanups and surveys and have worked to establish habitat preservation in multiple at-risk zones of this beautiful Scottish scenery. More and more are seeing what I've seen and are coming here specifically to enjoy and protect Loch Blaine.
That's wonderful. This is such a beautiful area of the world. Your efforts to protect it are outstanding, Miss Ross.
Thank you. But really all the accolades I need are when I look out at the water and see the Beast of Blaine thriving in its home. It is truly majestic.
Oh, you've seen it more than once?
Yes, indeed. Come to the front parlour. Mind the cat, would you? I sit by the window and knit when I get the chance to relax. It has the most fantastic western exposure of Loch Blaine. When the sun sets, it creates this magical sea of twinkling golden light across the water. That's when I saw our beautiful beast the first time. Its magnificent head breached the calm golden waters, its frills splayed like huge fans beside its face, a neck bent as gracefully as a swan's as it glided through the water. It moved with such elegance. How could anyone call a creature that moved like that a monster is beyond me. I knew then we had to do what we could to keep it safe and happy.
Where in the loch did you see the beast?
Just east of Alder Island. See it there in the distance?
The island again. Well, how many times have you seen it over the past few months? And was it always in the same spot?
About 10 times, and yes, the Anguilla Highlandica seems to favour the waters around Alder Island the most. Reports are scattered around the whole loch, but that area is the most popular. I suspect it could be a breeding or a nesting ground for the creature, which is why I want to raise the funds to have Alder Island declared a sanctuary. Not just for the beast, but for the wildlife that calls it home. There's also historical and archaeological significance with the island, and the last thing we need are tourists trampling all over it. They might disrupt the precarious balance of nature. Then where would the beast be? I shudder to think about it. Luckily, The Cranach isn't very popular with visitors. Too lonely and remote. Too far from a village. No sights or amenities. Just untamed nature now.
Have you ever been out there since you spotted the beast?
I have. The next day after I saw him the first time, I rented a boat from Duncan down at the boat shop and took a naturalist friend of mine out to Alder Island to investigate further. While we didn't find any direct evidence of the beast, I'm confident that with more time to study the area, we will uncover wonderful information about this special and gorgeous creature living in our waters. Once we have the sanctuary established, we will have all the time in the world.
I wonder... I hope you don't mind me reporting this, Hamish. I like keeping my records as up-to-date as possible.
By all means, Emma. Did Janis give you some good information to work from?
Whether it's good or not is still a work in progress, but I definitely have an idea. Have you been out to Alder Island since you started working here?
Haven't had the pleasure yet. Most of my work keeps me tied to the castle. I rent a cottage in Loch End. Haven't taken the time to explore the loch as a whole yet.
There looks to be clear indications that the island is important to the beast in some way. I talked to a few Save Our Beast Society members about their sightings, and a high number of them matched what you saw, Hamish, and where you saw him. So the island seems to be a focus somehow. Either it's the beast's home and nesting ground, or something else.
Something else?
The beast could be looking for something.
Looking for something? What would he be looking for? There's really nothing much left on the island but all the trees.
That's the question I need to answer. I can't say for sure if the Beast of Blaine is fact or fiction until I see him for myself. But since the sightings seem to center on the island, that feels like a good place to start. Miss Ross mentioned being able to rent a boat to get out there. Would we be able to do that?
Duncan runs the boat shop in the village, but he's closed today. We can do it bright and early tomorrow. In the meantime, I believe you asked for a guided tour of MacDuff Castle. Why don't we start at the gatehouse where in the 17th century you could see in the...
Couldn't sleep. Thought I might take a walk along the lake to clear my head, sort out my thoughts. I'm not an experienced cryptozoologist, so all of this feels new to me. But I don't want to let Hamish down. Still, I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be looking for, and I have no idea if any of the sightings can be trusted. I feel as lost as the Beast of Blaine out there. Hamish gave me a tour of the castle. I got to hear the legend of the 14th century spectre that I initially came to investigate. He was a poet and musician who tried to woo the laird's daughter. The laird who ran the castle was disgusted about that, so he threw the poet into a windowless prison cell in the gatehouse, little more than a hole carved out of the stone. The poet somehow managed to escape his cell. His body was found floating in Loch Blaine the morning after his escape, dead from drowning. He's now said to roam the empty passageways, wailing for his lost love. Sometimes music is said to be heard in the middle of the night, lost, sad notes that fade into the long sigh of the wind. Not the happiest tale found in this picturesque countryside. It is gorgeous out here, though. The steep mountains, the huge expanse of flowing water stretching to the horizon. The full moon has turned the loch into an acre of liquid silver. It's just beautiful. Part of me wishes I could just live here, forget all about the troubles at home. Once I'm home, I'm going to have to face those psychos from Haverton. I have to see justice done. There are times when I can almost feel Michael's disgusting breath in the back of my neck, like he's following me. And I still have nightmares about his creepy whistling and his knife slashing at my throat. And I don't know what to do about that postcard that I found at Quail Park. I don't know who I can talk to about it. But I know this. Something is wrong. Part of me wants to just pick up Salin and bring him here. But the louder part of my brain says, never leave things unfinished. I have to see things through. Like with this case. Even if I never see the Beast of Blaine in the flesh, I need to understand why there have been so many... Hold up. What on earth is that? Let me get my camera. I hope this turns out. I saw something thin and black moving out on the loch, over by Alder Island. It looks like a sea serpent? No, it couldn't be. I think I just saw the Beast of Blaine. It's about 7 a.m. and Hamish and I are now on Alder Island, thanks to a trip in Duncan's boat. Alder Island is little more than a postage stamp of land in the center of the loch. Just alder trees. No sign of human contact other than our footprints. I was so sure that...
Find anything, Emma?
No, nothing yet, Hamish. I was certain I saw the beast swimming around the island last night. The skinny neck, the long face, the frills spread like glistening bat wings on either side of its face. He stood out so clearly in the moonlight. I wish I got a better picture of it, but I swear, I saw him out here.
I believe you, Emma. I would never see the type of person to imagine things.
I was certain there would be some evidence here, signs of excavation maybe, recent archaeological interest, something, anything. But all I see are trees, shrubs, and soil.
Much of the granite sank when the water level in the loch rose. There may yet be evidence, but it would take a much more thorough search, I think. Focused primarily underwater.
Are you able to...
Oh, no. Never learned to swim. A boat is the closest I'll come to the water.
Dead ends. Nothing but dead ends. Why is this island important? My instincts are practically screaming at me this island is the focus. And once Janis Ross establishes the sanctuary, we'll lose our chance to explore uninhibited. Duncan, do you know if anyone has visited this island recently?
Just you and Dr. Mackenzie.
Not even Janis Ross? Any members of the Save Our Beast Society? Scientists conducting surveys?
You said recently. You're the most recent.
Okay. Have you seen anything peculiar out in the loch in the past few months?
Nope.
Really?
I didn't stutter.
Even though there have been dozens of sightings lately, it seems like everyone has seen the Beast of Blaine lately.
You're on.
Oh?
You only assume they saw the beast. They could have seen anything. A log covered in algae floating in the water. The shadow of a cloud passing over the sun. A tourist going for a swim. Eyes aren't infallible. And Janis Ross isn't to be trusted.
Why not?
She sees a dark speck out her cottage window and immediately declares it a new species. That doesn't sound like someone who has all their screws in place.
Alright. Let's say it's not the Beast of Blaine, but something is out in the water. Do you have any idea what it is?
Couldn't I say. Haven't I seen it?
Well, could it be something like a boat? Like, for instance, one of yours. Have you rented out any of your boats to locals in recent months? Or maybe to strangers? Have any of your craft gone missing? Have you had any break-ins?
I dinna ken what you're trying to imply, but all my craft are used for legitimate business, not for spooking the wildlife.
It's no good, Emma. I haven't found anything. Just untamed nature. Looks like it's just a dead end.
This is frustrating. I'm not even sure what I'm looking for. Freshly dug holes, scale prints, footprints. Wait. Hamish, come look at this. Do you see it pressed into the soft mud along the shore?
Not really. What do you see?
There's a light depression in the ground. The water has started to wash it away, but there's a definite shape to it. Triangular almost. Maybe like a trapezoid. Like a webbed foot. Hamish, it might be a fin print. Hamish will hit the roof if he knew what I was doing. I've got to make this quick. It's a totally insane idea, but I can't get it out of my head. We found nothing other than that soft fin print on Alder Island. Maybe the island doesn't mean anything after all. Then I remembered the legend of MacDuff Castle. The poet escaping from his cell and drowning in the loch. How did he escape? Hamish is working with the archaeologists excavating the catacombs, which were sealed by a cave-in centuries ago. But I think there's another way down there. Thank goodness I learned to pick locks after that fiasco with Juliet. They put a dummy of the poet in the prison cell for the two of us. I'll have to be quick before another one comes along. Down into the jail cell I go. Tight squeeze. I can feel the misery and trauma of being trapped in here day after day until your trial, or more than likely your execution. No windows, no fresh air. It smells like algae and decay. I feel a pocket of cool air coming through the stone. If I just... There! I can just see a short tunnel carved into the rock. It's not visible from the cell door. The guards would never see it. It's a tight fit, but I think I can just... Not easy. I think I pulled a muscle on my back. Ugh. Mental note. Stop trying to crawl through tight abandoned tunnels. It's only ever gotten you into trouble. Thank heavens I have my pocket flashlight. I think this is part of the castle's catacombs. There's an open stone chamber, a little more than a vestibule. It's opening to a larger chamber now. No clue what these chambers were used for. Storage, dungeons, protection, burial. Could be anything. I just need to find... Aha! Here it is! If I'm not mistaken, this is Loch Blaine. The ground in this chamber slopes down, and water from the loch has crept into the room. It's a sizable underground reservoir. I think this is how the poet escaped all those years ago. He found this access to the loch and took a risk by swimming to his freedom. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out. I might be able to find more evidence in the water, but I'm not taking my tape recorder now. I'll just set it over here and give it a quick look around the room. There's something funny about those rocks over there. Something... Hospital. It was a close shave. Closer than I'd like to admit. I was unresponsive for a day or two. I don't remember much. Just something wet and slimy and strong, grabbing me and dragging me into the water. Well, then I blacked out. I think I regained consciousness on the shore for just a moment. Part of me remembers seeing Duncan's pale, frightened face over mine. Then I passed out. I woke up at the hospital later. Hamish found my recorder once they broke through into the catacombs. It was apparently still running, working perfectly fine. I didn't hear anything worthwhile on the tape, though. He brought it back to me today while checking on how I was recovering. He says he didn't find anything out of the ordinary in the chamber. other than my tape recorder. When Jerry and Linda found out what happened, they demanded that I come home, like parents. I hate this feeling of being coddled. But they say every time I do these cases, I end up in trouble. I took this vacation to try and recover from a traumatic experience, and I've been targeted yet again. But when you brush against people doing something wrong, engaging in fraud, planning something evil, there's bound to be danger. And sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who can stop it. What would have happened to Lorna if I wasn't there? To Rosie? To young Sean? Yes, there have been times I was in danger, but if I didn't take that risk, others could have been hurt, or worse. Sometimes I have to take that risk if it means getting to the truth and saving a life. It's not easy. It's not always fun, but it's necessary. If you're not willing to fight for others, then who will be willing to fight for you? Got on my soapbox there for a second. I just hate being told what to do. There are puzzle pieces swirling in my head about this case. The Beast of Blaine is real, or at least it's not a trick of the light. I have a hunch about this case. I believe I'll see if I can find the local landfill, and then I'll try a little test. I think the only way to prove what I'm thinking is true is to catch the monster. Wonder where I can find a really big net.
Why are we out here in the middle of the night, Emma?
Just a spot of night fishing.
At midnight?
Yes. What better time to catch a lake monster?
What?
I had a hunch, Hamish, and I wanted you to see the end results. After all, you asked me to let you know what I found out. With the help of a few members of SOBS, we'll soon have our answers.
So, you're trying to trap the Beast of Blaine. How? With a big net?
More or less. Oh, right on time. Ready to see the catch of the day, Hamish? Be careful! The beast is looking pretty angry. Keep a strong hold on him. I know how strong and desperate he is from first-hand experience.
He's not as big as I thought the Beast of Blaine would be. Where did you find him?
Near one of the deepest trenches of the loch. But let's get some light on him before we start calling him the Beast. What do you think of the Beast now, Hamish?
It's a scuba diver. What on earth?
Yep, a scuba diver. And look what he was trying to dispose of. Look familiar?
Good Lord! It's the beast's head!
Made from black plastic pipes and other bits and bobs. The face was molded out of thick hoses painted black, and the frills were made from a black raincoat, cut up and strung with wire so they flapped convincingly in the breeze. That way it was waterproof, but behaved more realistically. But the head's not just a prop. It's a periscope.
You're joking!
Not a bit. Look here. You can see the mirror inside the neck of the fake head. The diver could poke the head up in the water, get his bearings using the periscope, and dive back down again. And the head is remarkably light, although I suspect our diver has weighted it down to get rid of it for good. It's not easy to dispose of a creation like this. All right, men, let's drop the net, and keep a tight grip on him. He looks ready to fight. I'll take off his diving mask. Let's find out who this lake monster really is.
Duncan!
Let go of me, you dirty, filthy bugger! Let go of me!
Language, Duncan. And this act doesn't scream innocence, you know. You should take your cues from your partner in crime. You've been a marvelous actor, Hamish, but you are the one who paid Duncan to masquerade as the Beast of Blaine.
What do you mean?
I think you know. For decades, the only point of interest that drew people here was MacDuff Castle, the castle you devoted your career to studying and protecting. What did you tell me? If you don't watch these visitors, they'll pluck anything that isn't nailed down. And Miss Ross told me how the castle was being weathered away over time. That's what was happening. Tourists were breaking off pieces of the castle to take home as souvenirs, a literal piece of history, chipping away at the castle until nothing remained. The MacDuff Castle was under attack, and you couldn't stand it anymore.
It was disgusting. Every day I found a new chip in the stonework, a fresh hole in the wall caused by someone's greedy hands. They were determined to rip the castle to pieces and leave nothing but a hole in the ground. We tried to stop them, hired more security, but this is such an isolated part of the country, and there weren't enough of us to go around. And tourists just got bolder and trickier. They'd smile at you, listen politely, and then rub you blind, hacking off stones like pounds of flesh. I could see it in their eyes, asking themselves, what term would there be if I took just a little chunk of the castle with me? No one's going to miss one little rock, will they? They were monsters beneath those holiday smiles. It drove me mad. I had to do something to stop the slow murder of our history.
And who else but an expert historian would find a long-forgotten legend about the Beast of Blaine? It's a very interesting idea you had. To protect the castle, you diverted all the attention to the loch. You made the loch look enticing to tourists to reduce the pressure on the castle so you could better care for it. The Beast of Blaine was just the sort of thing you wanted. A story to take tourists to the loch in hopes of finding the fabled monster. You contacted Duncan, an expert scuba diver, and built the periscope head. You paid him to play the beast at specific times of the day, like sunset, when the reflected sunlight off the water blurred and made the head hard to identify. Janis was an excellent first witness. Her environmentalist efforts grew the popularity of the beast and, in turn, protected the loch as well. In fact, the sightings of the Beast of Blaine have actually done a world of good for the loch, established protected areas, cleaned it up, encouraged healthy business, and saved the castle from further destruction.
That was the idea. We didn't want to hurt anyone, I swear. Duncan would go out as the beast during times of impacted visibility, like sunset or when there was a light fog, just to keep people from realizing what the beast actually was. We kept the head safe on Alder Island. Hardly anyone went out there. The fin print you found was actually one of Duncan's flippers for his scuba diving gear. When Janis called Duncan about hiring a boat, he went out early and hid the head in the castle catacombs.
In the underground chamber with access to the loch. Yes, I saw something funny by the rocks down there. It was the beast's periscope head. Well, Duncan stored it down there before you and I went to Alder Island. In fact, the night I saw the beast was actually Duncan taking the head to the castle catacomb, thoughtfully warned by you beforehand.
I was nervous. You were a lot sharper than I gave you credit for, Emma. My apologies. You honed in on Alder Island right from the start. Duncan hung around there because it made for speedy escapes. When you wanted a boat to the Cranach the next morning, I called Duncan and asked him to move the head of the catacombs. I knew about the story of the poet and figured out how he escaped. It made a great hiding spot in case people got a little curious. We didn't want all our hard work to go to waste.
But then I found the chamber, and Duncan was coming to retrieve the head before the archaeologist broke into the catacomb. When he saw me there, he tried to shut me up by dragging me into the loch.
No!
What was that?
It wasn't to shut you up. I panicked when I saw you. I didn't want you to find the head or everything would be ruined. The fastest way out of the room is through the water. I lost my head and grabbed you and swam you out of the chamber. You fought hard, lassie, have to give you that. I kept trying to give you my regulator so you had air to breathe. I swam as fast as I could to the shoreline and then did everything I could to revive you. I stayed with you until you were in your hospital room. I've been feeling terrible about it ever since.
As have I. Duncan told me what happened. We've both been paying your medical bills and the bill for your hotel room. No one was supposed to be hurt. We decided to retire the beast immediately afterwards. We weren't going to risk it anymore. It was too dangerous. We're really sorry, Emma. Honest. We felt like absolute garbage that would happen to you. When I went down to grab your tape recorder, I tossed the head in the water Duncan fished it out and threw it in the nearest landfill.
Which is where I found it. Not a pretty job digging it out. I had this nagging urge that the whole affair was staged somehow. And I figured, after the attack on me, someone might be frightened enough to dispose of key evidence. After I found the head, I had a choice to make. A test I wanted to do. If I got the reaction I was looking for, I knew who was responsible for the whole thing. I wondered why you were so excited to learn about my work as a paranormal investigator, Hamish, and then deliberately steered me away from the story of the castle's ghost to focus on the lake monster instead.
I really didn't want any more publicity in at the castle. With your reputation, it might bring more of those dreaded tourists to hunt for the ghost. So I gently tried to focus your attention on our luck instead.
But the true telltale reaction was when I broke into your cottage in Loch End and left the beast's head on your coffee table. Probably not a pleasant reunion for you.
You did that? I almost fainted when I saw the head there, like I was facing a personal demon. I wanted it gone for good.
And you never told me you found the head in your house. That's when I knew you were the one responsible for the whole shebang. If you were innocent, why wouldn't you tell me you found evidence? No, your first instinct was self-preservation. Get rid of the head. You called Duncan. The landfills weren't secure enough. But Duncan decided to take the head out to one of the deepest trenches in one of the deepest lakes in the world. He weighed it down to dump it in the loch, never to be seen again. Unfortunately, you both got trapped in my net.
You're a tough one, lassie. And a smart one. I won't underestimate you again.
All I wanted was to protect this place, to keep it safe so we can all enjoy it for centuries to come. I never dreamed it would turn into such a disaster. You have to believe us, Emma. We weren't trying to hurt you. We lost our heads. In more ways than one. I should never have had this stupid idea.
Well, we all made choices that weren't probably the best and brightest. I did decide to break into a historic site after all, and your house, Hamish. Tell you what, let's call this the official retirement of the Beast of Blaine. Let bygones be bygones. No more jaunts in the loch with your makeshift monster head, Duncan. We'll let all the good works in the area continue. Habitat protection, historical preservation, the works. And we're putting this guy back in the landfill. We're not going to pollute the water anymore. Janis will keep the loch safe for all its inhabitants, and you, Hamish, will keep the castle safe. The beast will fade back into a legend. Sounds good?
Sounds like the best news I've heard in months.
I thought you would approve. Case number 111. Closed. Results? Human agency. Mental note. Show Naomi the postcard. She might know. Time to go home. Samhain, here I come. Prepare for cuddles.
Why should I tell you what I've done? This doesn't concern you. You don't get to control me. None of you do. How many times have I drive that into your heads? My decision, not yours. Stop hovering around me. Now get out!